Ever felt your heart race before a big deadline or your stomach churn when you get unexpected news? That's your body's stress response at work. But what exactly is going on in the body and brain during those moments? In this video, we'll break down the science of stress so you walk away with an understanding of what stress is, how it affects you, and why that matters for your well being. Stress isn't just feeling overwhelmed. Scientifically, your experience of stress is your brain and body's response to demands, anything that requires your attention, energy, or adaptation. These demands could be physical, like running a race, emotional, like having a tough conversation, cognitive, like solving a problem, or even stem from environmental sources like noise and poor lighting. What matters most is how your brain and body interpret and react to these challenges, and that's where the fascinating mind-body connection comes in. When your brain detects a stressor, it activates a coordinated response throughout the body. The nervous system orchestrates this response through two key divisions. The sympathetic nervous system acts like the body's accelerator, like a gas pedal. When activated, heart rate rises, breathing quickens, senses sharpen, and blood flows to your muscles. It's that fight or flight response that prepares you to meet challenges. In contrast, your parasympathetic nervous system works as the body's brake pedal, promoting rest and digest state once the challenge passes or you've handled it effectively. This balance between activation and recovery is crucial for healthy stress management. Scientists can actually measure how well the system is working through something called heart rate variability, the small variations between heartbeats that reveal how effectively your brain is regulating your stress response. What's fascinating about stress is it's not just about what happens to us, it's about how we interpret what happens. This is why the same situation can affect different people in completely different ways. For example, imagine 3 people at work are asked to give a presentation. Person A feels excited about sharing their ideas and they're really motivated to get started. Person B experiences anxiety and they're really dreading it. And then person C barely registers a stress response at all. The difference lies in how each person is perceiving that situation. Research shows that when we believe we have the resources to handle a challenge, we tend to experience it as more stimulating, more of as a challenge to rise up to, rather than as a threat. If we don't think that we have the adequate resources, or if we feel like failure would have really dire consequences, we perceive threat. And if a situation doesn't seem important to us, we may not have a stress response at all. This explains why understanding stress requires looking beyond just biology to include our thoughts, beliefs, and personal history, all of which shape our unique stress signatures. The way the human body has evolved to respond to stress is brilliantly designed for short-term challenges, also called acute stressors. These are immediate short-term challenges or threats. Our stress response activates quickly when needed, and then it deactivates once the challenge passes. This is our stress response at its best. But in today's world, many of us face ongoing stressors that keep our stress response activated for far too long. This is the crucial distinction between acute and chronic stress. Whereas acute stress is short-lived, chronic stress persists over time without adequate recovery. Sometimes chronic stress stems from the stressor itself, for example, when work tasks keep piling up with no real downtime. But sometimes chronic stress can also come from our brains. For example, worrying about things that may happen or ruminating on things that have happened keep the stress at the forefront of our minds. And the brain isn't great at distinguishing reality from imagination, leading to anticipatory or prolonged stress system activation, even when no stressor is actually present. Decades of research have now linked the prolonged stress activation and the resulting chronic stress to an increased risk of heart disease, compromised immune function, and autoimmune diseases, mental health challenges like anxiety and depression, and symptoms like brain fog, fatigue, and much more. Understanding this difference helps explain why some stress may be helpful while other stress is harmful. It's not necessarily the stress itself that's the problem, it's the stress without relief. The human body has evolved to respond to stressors with short, targeted responses and then recover. But when stress becomes chronic, when the body doesn't get a chance to return back to baseline, that's when problems arise. But here's the good news. We can learn how to recognize and manage stress by first understanding how it works.